Hey there everybody, it is Skipper Megan. If you are new, welcome aboard. If you are returning, thanks so much for coming back. Today I am going to be talking about a little bit something different. I'm going to be transitioning into going to Disney World as a guest. The past couple of weeks I have talked about things about the college program, about being a cast member. In my last video I talked a little bit about the Disney look and the specific things that you can and can't wear when you are working at Disney. Things like why you cannot wear your hair this color and stuff like that. So if you haven't already seen it, it's going to be linked right up there. Just click on that little eye and check that out. And today, like I said, I am going to be transitioning into life as a guest, and you're going to be going to the parks. There are 47 square miles of Disney World areas to explore, and you're going to need to do some planning. The absolute biggest tip that anyone who has ever been to Disney World will give you is do not over plan. That is the worst thing you can do, is to plan every single second of every single day that you are going to be on vacation. However, that being said, that does not mean that you do not need to plan at all. Like I said, 47 square miles of stuff to do. You need to plan something. So today I'm going to give you a broad overview of kind of the next few weeks, what I'm going to be talking about as far as the planning process. So like I said, this is going to be a guest perspective. So I also am now just a guest. My college program was 5 years ago. So every time I go to Disney World, I do all of these steps and I plan as a guest. I do not live in Florida. I actually live 800 miles away from Florida. So I have to go through every single one of these steps too. So I'm kind of giving you an insight into my planning process and how I go about planning my Disney vacations. So this is not going to be like, oh, you know, cast members can get it easier or cheaper or anything like that. No. I am just a regular guest now as well, so this is my planning process. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to have individual videos focusing on each individual step of this process, so today is just an overview of those steps. The first of which being, you need to plan when you want to go. So you've decided that you are going to go to Disney World. When do you want to go though? And the main question that you have to ask with that is, what kind of trip is it going to be? So you need to know, is it going to be a husband and wife? Is it going to be a set of girlfriends? Is it going to be an entire family where you're going to have to plan around children and school? So that's going to be the main thing that I talk about with that. The next step is going to be transportation. How am I going to get there? So in that video, I'm going to talk about transportation to and from Disney World, and actually transportation within the Disney World area. So we'll talk about flights, we'll talk about buses, we'll talk about driving. I have done all of those things, so I'll be able to give you a little bit of insight into that as a guest and also as a cast member if you're curious. One of the most obvious things that you're going to need to plan when you are planning a Disney vacation is where to stay. And that's going to be one of the most informative videos that I can provide for you, because I'm going to go into detail about every different level of accommodations that they have on Disney property. I have stayed on Disney property and I've also stayed off property, so we'll kind of compare and contrast some of the pros and cons of that, whether you should stay on or off, and the different levels of hotels, and also the different individual hotels and what those can offer. Step number 4 is going to be, what do you need to schedule before you actually arrive at the parks? As you may already know, you can plan some of your fast passes, which we'll go into a lot more detail later. You can plan some of those up to 60 days in advance if you're staying on property, 30 days if you're not. You can also plan your dining reservations up to 6 months in advance. That is the earliest you can schedule them, and I do recommend that you schedule them at that time for some of the restaurants if you're going to want to eat there for sure. But in that video, we're going to go into a lot more detail about what specific places you should definitely get a reservation for at that time, and what you can kind of put off until you get a little bit closer to time. The next step is one of my favorites. You're getting close, you're ready to go, you're like a few days out. What do you need to pack? That's going to be, you know, everything that you need to take in your suitcases. If you're flying, you need to have on your carry-on versus your luggage. Everything that you're going to want to have in a park bag, and I will talk about everything that you take into the parks in a separate video from the actual traveling video. But all of that is one of the most exciting things, because it is finally happening, it's finally real, and that's the best. Alright, so now you are at the park. That's where we are in this planning process. Once you arrive at the park, the next step is going to be deciding what things you want to eat, what things you want to ride, who you want to meet, and the things that you want to do. All of those steps kind of happen at the same time, so there will just be an individual video for each one of those. If you have a preference about what order those should go in, which ones you're most interested in seeing first, just let me know down below and I can video accordingly. So that is the broad overview of the next few weeks of videos about the planning process for going to Walt Disney World. I hope they're going to be as much fun for you to watch as they are for me to make. Planning a Disney vacation is almost as fun as taking a Disney vacation. Almost. But it's going to be a really fun time, so make sure you check back every week. I post on Mondays, so I will see you then. Bye!